Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our top right-hand side Yedgin, our blue Terran, and his opponent in the bottom left is Halleck, our green Protoss. Both players are in low platinum, high gold. It is a best of 5 featuring both of these individuals. We're on Heart of the Swarm in Neo Planet S. Quickly becoming a very popular map, and I like it. I mean, it's unique. It doesn't have a Xel'Naga watchtower. It's got a weird third with kind of a pseudo wall-off backdoor sort of thing. Yeah, it's a nice map. It's a nice map. It's got a good medium rush distance, kind of a normal rush distance with a very normal ramp leading down to the natural, and then the natural has a kind of a smaller size choke. I like it. I like it. It's unique. It's different, and you know what? Different is always better, especially whenever it comes to forcing the metagame to evolve. And yeah, and Heart of the Swarm is a very volatile time for the metagame, so it definitely has plenty of room for evolution. Best of 5s are always kind of weird because you can't really open up with the build that you always use. You don't want to because, you know, well, God forbid your opponent knows what you're going to be doing and already has a counter marked out for it. So you do have to have those weird other strats held into your back pocket, kind of going with what's second best sometime, hoping that that surprise is going to deal some damage to your opponent. Both players are kind of progressing down that normal route, 200 minerals for our Zerg buddy, and he's sitting off one drone down to the low ground, probably going to go hatch first at the 15 supply marked, following that up with probably a spawning pool, but only time will tell. Yedgin has not secured his ramp just yet, but he's working on that wall off. Weird placement for the barracks off to the side. Still can't throw down an add-on there, and we'll need to throw down a supply depot right next to it. Sometimes you'll see the barracks position just a little to the left so that the add-on would complete the wall off, but then they just throw down a supply depot anyway, so you know, it kind of defeats the purpose. Regardless, it's going to accomplish the exact same thing. Halleck does get his drone in there, but all he sees is that no gas has been tapped just yet, and that's going to give him plenty of breathing room. Hatchery is going up on the low ground. Spawning pool was just immediately thereafter. Good timing on it, actually. Both of them are going to be finishing pretty much at the exact same time, which means the queen timing's going to be matching up. Still no gas for our Zerg buddy, so neither player really making a very aggressive overtones. You know, no real aggression going on at all. Maybe, yeah, the Marine taking down the drone, that's kind of aggressive, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Absolutely nothing on the production tab just yet. Does that mean that he is throwing down a CC on the low ground? Awesome. So yeah, Yedgin's going to be throwing down a bunker on the low ground, probably a couple more barracks up top, and then grabbing his gas. Now going for a bit of an earlier gas. Very interesting choice on that one. Probably going to be working on some higher tech. Maybe we're going to be seeing a nice timing attack with the +1 and the stem. I don't know. Scouting SCV's coming down just to see that hatchery is indeed on its way. Both queens pretty much at identical timing, and that's absolutely fantastic. I always love to see that. I like it. It's the little things in life that just bring me pleasure. It brings me great pleasure, and this the SCV is getting in there, and it's going to be bringing plenty of pleasure to Yedgin to see that there's no gas just yet, that he's going to be dealing with a heavy macroing Zerg. However, he's still on 2 bases, which is kind of weird. Traditionally, you see the third base. This map, Neo Planet S, is really exposed third base, so it definitely favors 2-base play. But still, it's odd to see Halleck allowing Terran to get up a second base totally non-contested, but then not using that as an advantage for himself to, you know, go and get even heavier macro lead. You know, nice economy. I don't know. It could be that we're going to be dealing with a timing attack. The gas has been started for Halleck, and that's very slow, so metabolic boost is going to be worlds away. So I do not know. Switching over to the economy tab, 21/18, still pretty much neck and neck, especially if you factor in the orbitals. 2 more barracks being added on, but here we can see the, oh no, okay, so he just moved the barracks up a little bit and then completes the wall off on the tech lab. I've never seen that before. Really clever. I like it a lot, because this should be totally tight, and because of the unorthodox placement of the barracks, you can get away with that and also not leave the tech lab super exposed. If you put the barracks in the middle of this with the supply depot just to the right, when you throw it on the tech lab's sitting right here and can get wonderfully surrounded by all of those Zerglings, leads to a terrible snipe opportunity. This way, only 1 or 2 Zerglings can attack at one time, and that stem can progress without too much worry. Nice pseudo wall off going on because of the ice coming up from the left side of that wall off. It's nice, you know, another supply depot there to make it so that bunker is pretty much impenetrable, being filled up with plenty of Marines. Factory on the way, stem also on the way, just in case you guys missed it. Double tapping that gas. This is probably going to be a heavy Marine timing push, maybe 1 or 2 siege tanks thrown in. Interesting to see that there's no starport just yet, because that's really the missing link here. I say siege tank because of the tech lab, because of the double gas, and because of the absence of a starport. It's pretty obvious that's what's going to happen. Traditionally you see some widow mines thrown into the mix with this, but it's very difficult to manage that splash damage inherent to those widow mines, so that's kind of difficult. The cool play here from Halleck is the double evo chamber and then the spine crawler. This is not tight. You still have a little gap right here, but remember that the spine crawlers have been buffed in Heart of the Swarm to make it so that they can make a tight wall off. You can actually make a wall of crawl now. If this spine crawler had moved forward just a couple of inches, he can make this completely tight, and if he was worried at all about Hellions coming out of that factory, then that's exactly what he would be doing, and that would make this a very resilient base. I really feel like the Zerg is playing kind of scared. Maybe he's intimidated by Halleck, just to see him on 2 bases like this, only just now grabbing his 3rd, but at this point it's kind of too late. The factory's already cranking out siege tanks. This push is going to be incredibly intimidating in just a couple of seconds when the stim pack is done. Interesting to see the absence of any add-on on either of these barracks. He's got plenty of gas, plenty of money for it. I'd love to see a tech lab thrown down on this other barracks and him to start on combat shields just right away. That would make it so that this push is more intimidating, faster. But with the addition of the engineering bay, it's pretty obvious that he's going for a +1 a +1 timing attack, which means that the siege tank count's probably going to be up to around 5, maybe more, depending. Halleck's creep spread is absolutely phenomenal, and that's really going to help him whenever this timing attack does come out, especially with the addition of the Baneling nest and him relying pretty much exclusively on Zerglings right now to deal with any pressure that could come out of the Terran foe. Halleck has secured and taking his 3rd. I mean, it's pretty much done at this point, and he's got plenty of money, plenty of income, so that he can pretty much instantly saturate this base whenever he chooses to. But no, I don't think Yedgin's going to give him the chance. He's pushing out with plenty of Marines, plenty of siege tanks, a nice timing attack. This stim is done. Combat shields will be done by the time this is knocking at the front door. He might have to blow a stim to take out some of this creep and then just kind of relax and let his siege tank line take care of all the Zerglings. That being said, if he decides to get too ballsy too quickly, he could push in without these upgrades, and that could be disastrous, especially because the Banelings are beginning to morph. Only 3, which is surprising. You'd expect to see a lot more, especially because he's got the money, he's got the supply for it. There goes the scan. The Marines going to town on all of the creep spread. It's nice to see these 2 creep tumors surviving. I really am impressed by all this creep spread, especially because it's connecting the 3rd already. 0 saturation at that 3rd means that the only thing he's going to be losing is a hatchery. Siege tank taking just a little bit of damage. Oh no! Excellent play here by Halleck, pushing to the right side of just a very small amount of Zerglings, drawing the ire of all the Marines, and then with the Marines out of position, pushing in and taking down one of the siege tanks, bringing the other one down to 30 hit points, 30 more Zerglings on the production tab, +1/+1 going to be finishing. I think Halleck should be able to deal with this pressure coming from Yedgin, but it might be a little bit too late to save the hatchery. Overall, not the worst thing in the world that could happen, especially if he manages to take down all 3 of the siege tanks, but with +1 finishing and combat shields just now done, Yedgin has a very intimidating force, defensively positioning his Marines to the backside of that siege tank line, allowing his siege tanks just to be doing just a little bit of damage to the hatchery, actually keeping just enough Marines to deal with the broodlings that are going to be coming out of there. A nice scan just to see exactly what's happening. Oh, and what's happening is a Zergling run by. Halleck deciding to send all 32 of those Zerglings into the main base of Yedgin, just doing massive damage to the Terran economy, and the saturation down to the south is just pitiful compared to the one that was in the main. It looks like everything's going to be shut down. The factory is going to lose its tech lab, and then the orbital's probably going to go too. Yedgin decides to throw down his chips and push into the main. He's got a nice choke, double queens having to deal with that. No Banelings being morphed into these Zerglings. Oh, that is a huge mistake. Those Zerglings are going to have to... Oh no, they're just going to melt away because of the siege tank line. If those Banelings had existed, all those Marines would have been gone, and then the siege tanks would have been incredibly exposed. But at the same time, the Zerglings are having an absolute field day. I don't think any... There's only 2 harvesters left. What a play. What a play. Halleck has got to hold on to 24/75. The Spire is done. 4 Mutalisks are on the way, and a very, very weak bundle of Marines are all that's going to remain to deal with those Mutalisks. And remember, those Mutalisks can regenerate very, very quickly. The Zerglings are still going to town on the Terran infrastructure, but both players has a massive amount of bank, just barely enough. Barely enough to get a new hatchery. Oh no! Drones, the inhumanity. The drones go down. Oh, equalizing the workers' kill tab, 30 over 16. That is absolutely terrible. But all four of the Mutalisks are now on the field, just doing plenty of damage to siege tanks. It looks like Yedgin's going to be backing out, and I think that was a wise decision. He only had 6 Marines to deal with these 4 Mutalisks, and traditionally that would be a fair fight, especially with that stem. But I think Halleck could micro them correctly, and he's got 4 more on the way. And yeah, there's not much you can do against that. 8 Mutalisks against only 6 Marines, and those Marines had taken quite a lot of damage. They were going to die pretty quickly, and then right behind that was going to be the siege tank. And bottom line, it is Halleck has a fully saturated main, and Yedgin has a husk of his former glory. That was intense. That was absolutely intense. Hats off to Halleck for doing what was necessary and not having to deal with the Marine line that was encroaching upon his naturals, just sending it off on a suicide run, making it work. Absolutely fantastic. So that's game 1. We've got another 4 to go. So this is gonna be a great best of 5. Hey guys, if you have a replay you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.